Welcome. You are listening to the Overseas Life Redesign podcast, where you'll hear fun, relaxed, and inspirational interviews with people who are really living the dream. I'm Dawn Fleming, an attorney turned alchemist, and your host for the show, coming to you from the tropical island paradise of Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Listen to conversations with courageous souls who've stepped out of their comfort zone and designed a new way of life. They'll share their experiences, wisdom, and offer practical steps you can take to redesign your life overseas. Listen and you'll believe. If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
Okay, today I am here with Zhanyl Raeva. We've known each other actually for about 5 years, and she's been visiting here in Mexico for almost a month now. And I have the pleasure of getting to know her a little bit more. And she is originally from Kyrgyzstan.
Close.
No?
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah,
See, I butchered that. Oh, well.
It was a blend of Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, you said. But Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And you live in Manhattan in New York now.
Correct.
But I know you also spent some time living in China.
Yes.
And I am just dying to ask you all kinds of questions about that whole experience. Mm-hmm. You're fairly young for all of the traveling and experiences you've had. 28?
Correct, yes.
28 years old. So, so I always like to start at the beginning. So you want to just tell me a little bit about how the move came about from, the first one to China?
Correct, yes. So actually, I feel like my first overseas experience was in my country.
Okay.
In a sense that I graduated high school when I was 16. Actually, in my country, elementary, middle school, high school, it's all one place. We don't differentiate between schools. Okay. So after I finished that, I really, really wanted to study abroad. So I was applying for different universities, studying languages. And then I was really basically dreaming about living abroad. It was, I think, Paris or USA, wherever it was possible. So I was doing all the efforts. But then China happened. I sent my application for school to Paris, Sorbonne University. I was studying French. I prepared DELF. It's a language exam. I did that. And then I'm like, okay, while I'm waiting for the answer, why don't I try to go to China for a very little course? And we had our close friend that lived in Beijing. And she helped me with getting into school and applying for it, because it's Chinese skill characters. It was so daunting at that time, but I just wanted to really leave my country and explore more. So whatever it was, I was like, okay, I'm open. But and it was 2 years later after I finished my high school, I think, 18, I left to Beijing for a short course, a very intensive Chinese class. Every day we would have new lesson.
And so language.
Language.
Yeah,
language. Yeah, for me, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but also very difficult, mentally,
Because very challenging, totally different alphabet, different learning the pronunciation.
Because I was already studying English, I was studying French, and I'm like, okay, I need to prepare all these tests. I need to apply for all these schools, And then the China just came out of nowhere, but it was the easiest way, I guess. It's also, we share borders with China, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. Kyrgyzstan and China, and it was also way less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Going there, living with the salaries we have in my country, going somewhere like Europe or USA, it's
very expensive.
Very expensive. People can't really afford this. They usually try to apply for some scholarships. Which France had in France. To go to university, you don't have to pay for a tuition fee. You just pay a 300 euro or something. It's public schools. Okay. Private schools, they're as expensive as American schools. So I did the 3 months language course, And then I went back home. It was the spring semester. I went back home and like, okay, I'm gonna spend summer back home, and I was waiting for answer to come from like French university, and I was denied. Like actually they told me that I would need to go to school for 1 more year before I go to university. Like although I met the requirements for the language, they still needed me to go and study in their 1 year at their like pre-university like school. So, and that was incredibly expensive. And like, okay, and then I decided to just go back to China again and continue the course. So I went to, orientation meeting and everything, and they told me you can start your bachelor's degree now. I was like, really? What? Because the course that I took, the 3 months, it was very intense, and I got like high scores for that. And they just told me that I can start my bachelor's degree in Chinese language right away. I'm like, okay.
Wow, was that hard?
It was not actually, I don't feel like it was hard. It was exciting, once you're in the environment. And then the more you learn, actually, the easier it gets, because once you know one character, you know the meaning of it. And then when you see that character in combination with the other character, and then you know the meaning of both characters, you can figure out what's the meaning of the whole word.
Okay.
So the more characters you know, the easier the language gets. And the grammar was also, it was not different. It was just so different. That's it. I cannot tell it was hard or something. It's just very different. You have to have like a different kind of brain, for that.
Yeah.
So
did you feel that the 3.5 month course prepared you well enough for that, or?
Yeah, I think it prepared me well enough, because the 4-year bachelor program, it's like main focus was language, so I was continuing to do the same thing. It wasn't like, like after the 3 months I'm studying economics, business, not right away. We would still learn language the first 2 years, and they were like listening, writing, reading, all the basic language skills. We would still do it, but we also study like Chinese literature, Chinese history, culture, like things like that.
Sure.
So, and then the 3rd year they would let us pick, like Chinese and economics, Chinese and international trades, or Chinese and Japanese translations. You can choose translations as well. So it was, I think after 2 years, in Beijing, I started to feel a little more comfortable, because I could make Chinese friends, and then we would joke, and that's the most satisfying thing, when you can actually joke in foreign language and humor. They get it. Exactly, and it was so satisfying. So yeah.
So tell me about the cultural differences between your home country and China.
Okay, so the cultural difference, I think although we kind of look alike because we're Asians, the culture is different though, very different. So our culture, because our country is a former Soviet Union country, we have a lot of Russian influence, like Eastern European. We watch like European, Russian, and American channels, so it kind of like, I think media means a lot, what you watch.
Yes.
Yeah, so we watch that, and China.
So more Western influence in your home country?
I would say more Western influence in our own, like Kyrgyz, it's majority of people are Muslim in our country. I mean, born Muslim, not like very strict Muslims, I guess very laid back. We just celebrate Muslim holidays and everything, but it's not that, it has a lot of Western influence, and plus Muslim culture. So it's a whole mix.
Mm-hmm. And then, so tell me about going to China. Like, was there any kind of culture shock, or?
Was there any cultural shock? I guess there was a little shock because how overcrowded it was, Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was incredibly crowded. It's like
lots of people. You take subway. Any hour is a traffic hour. It's a traffic jam. It's packed always. Yeah. And it kind of like,
get used to it, you know. First you kind of complain, oh, I hate this, I hate that, or I hate pollution. Like my first 6 months, I started to have like kind of skin reaction. I guess maybe the doctor said I was showering too much. yeah. I was probably showering too much because I thought maybe the air is too polluted, so I need to shower. So it actually killed the natural bacteria, you know. But after the 6 months, I started to feel way better. Like it's just, I think it was really getting adjusted, you know, to food, to everything. It just takes time.
Big changes.
Yeah, big changes. Yeah. But in terms of cultural shock, you know, because you are surrounded with many international students, you have your kind of like bubble.
Yeah,
circle,
you weren't the only
campus.
one there from somewhere else.
Exactly. So it was, for me, the cultural shock was more like, oh my God, look at all these people. They are so different, you know, like you meet people from all the countries, like Madagascar, you know, Peru, you know, some places you've never heard of, you know, like a lot of students from Africa. China, what China was doing, I mean, I'm probably still doing, they offer a lot of like scholarships. So they were
attracting a lot of
people. Yeah. I eventually got the scholarship myself. So yeah.
So it was in that environment. Then it was pretty easy to make friends with your classmates and what have you.
It was pretty easy. It was very exciting.
What about the Chinese people? Did you have very many Chinese native friends, or how were they in terms of meeting new people? Were they pretty open? Did you find, or?
In Beijing, I think they were pretty open. I think foreigners were pretty entertaining to Chinese people, as well as Chinese people were pretty entertaining to foreigners. You know, it's like,
okay,
yeah. I think they were pretty friendly. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I had a few good Chinese friends. Yeah, that. The place where I lived, I studied at Beijing Language and Culture University, and it's basically located in the area where other universities are, you know, like Tsinghua, one of the best universities, like Beijing. It's all located in one area, and you kind of also see students from other universities, you know, and they're so friendly. They want to speak to you. They want to practice English. I mean, my English was not so good at that time. But, it was okay, you know. It was okay to make friends and stuff. Yeah.
Great. So it was a pretty positive experience then.
It was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was so much fun. Student life, you know, like exploring, and it was my first time away from my parents.
Sure.
So I think that was something that I was looking for, I guess, just to like study and be in the zone, you know. So yeah. I had that there.
So you said that you really had a passion for leaving your country and going somewhere else. Was that something that you'd felt for a long time, like since you were little, or was that something that developed more as you got older?
I think it's something that developed when I got a little older, like at the age, like maybe teenage ages, like, you know. I think the main purpose or the main reason was that I really wanted to study. Like, I loved school, I wanted to study abroad. And back in my country, I felt like the education wasn't taken that seriously. I mean, it is taken. Each person has a degree, you know. It's not like, it's very basic requirement for you to have a bachelor's degree. But the quality of it was not so great.
Well-educated population, but just
yeah, it's well-educated. It's just not as, you know, like if you want to write like a research paper or something, you just go Google. There's no such thing like plagiarism, right? So like in America they teach that a lot, they really emphasize, but back there, you know, if you come up with an idea, someone steals it and it's just like, or someone takes it and it's okay, you know, and you feel bad, you know what I mean? So I think I wanted to explore, and I also wanted to study. I want to like have I guess, like justice, you know, in that sense.
Yeah. I understand. So what happened after you finished? Well, first of all, did you have a major then, an area of focus?
Yes. So I picked, it was funny. I know for some reason I picked for like 3 months, Japanese, Chinese. I don't know why I did though. I think it's just because I wanted to go to another country, you know?
Okay. Because
on the third year, when you pick a major, Chinese, Japanese translations or Chinese Korean translation, you have an opportunity to go to that country and study there for 1 year. And I was like, wow, that would be so cool to go to Tokyo and study 1 year, you know. Although it's like, sounds like crazy to get another language, you know, but I picked it, and then the explosion happened that year. I think it was 2016. You remember they had nuclear explosion? So and my mom said, don't do it. And then I just switched to Chinese and business.
And then did you leave Beijing after you graduated, or what did you do after that?
After I graduated, yes. So I applied for a master's degree for the next. So I finished it in spring, in winter semester, and then I applied for a master's degree to study like international affairs. But then after I graduated, I decided that I needed to reward myself for hard work and study, like, because I was really passionate about going to the gym, and I was like, okay, I really love it. I think I have something in me that that says like, oh, you have to get a kind of specialty, like a certificate or something in sports, whatever it is. Maybe it's like some kind of like, you know, fitness camp experience. So I started to research, and then I decided to go to India.
Yes, and that's where you met Richard.
Basically, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit CastilitoCaribe.com, www.CastilitoCaribe.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Integrity Vacation Property Management. Trust, truth, results. From buyer's representative services to rental market analysis, staging, marketing, and full-service property management, achieving your goals is our top priority. Visit our website at www.integrityvpm.com and get our free guide, Self-Manage or Hire, a property owner's checklist of issues to consider. Contact us for a free consultation to see if we can help you maximize the return on your investments. Integrity VPM, raising the bar in vacation property management.
We are back with Zhanyl, also known as Jaka. I didn't say that in the beginning. That's your nickname. So how did you get that nickname?
My parents gave me, you know, they just, like, as a kid, it was Jaka, and then it's just, they never gave up on the name, and they kept calling me Jaka. And I was Jaka for a very long time until I moved to America and had to be more adult-like.
Well, I love it. It's a very cute nickname. So you went to India, and you were there for a couple months, you said?
Yes.
And you were there to study?
Yeah, I went there for the yoga training. It was 500 hours of Hatha Yoga training.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So you got a certification on that, I believe you said, huh?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Cool.
It was, how old was I? I was 21.
Okay.
I think 21 or 22, and I was just looking for some fun experience and, you know, do something like physical.
Okay.
But I discovered that there's some beyond physical, you know, later on in yoga. So I stayed in Rishikesh. They call it capital of yoga in India. So that was a fun experience. I had a very funny expectations. I thought I would live somewhere in the mountains, very like aloof. Is that the word? Or like far away?
Sure.
Remote.
Rural.
Remote
area.
Remote area. Yeah. And I would hear like animals, you know, and insects everywhere, and no people around. And I thought I would shave my head, like, okay.
You're in for the whole experience.
Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen, But then I arrived. It was like, okay, actually, the place looked very much like Isla Mujeres. Small place, like very narrow streets, and lots of cows everywhere, and they were treated like queens and kings. Cow is a female always, or can be a male as well, right?
They both, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and I stayed I thought I would stay in some ashram, somewhere, but I stayed in a hotel. It's a part of you pay for the for the training, and everything is included.
Okay.
Food, living, the course. So it was interesting, and I was all immersed in the training. We would wake up like 5 a.m. and then have everything scheduled until basically 8 p.m. and then we have some time to sleep and wake up the next day and do the training again. So it was I didn't really, I guess, explore like India. I was more like yoga training and Rishikesh life.
Pretty intense experience.
Pretty intense,
it sounds like.
It was intense in the beginning because it's like, holy moly, what's going on with my body, but then after 2 weeks, it gets better. And then after a month, it gets really better. And then after 2 months, you don't want to leave. You want to stay, you want to do the training, you want to be on this, it was really good.
But you did leave.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to leave. I really wanted to stay. India has this power, so you either love it or you hate it. Like a lot of people say that. And it really depends, like, what expectations of what energy you come there with,
Sure.
Like some people, I know there's one girl who would always get attacked by monkeys, Yeah, they would steal her food. Yeah, they do that, and she just would have unfortunate experience one after another. And I think, it's because maybe the mindset that she came with, and then she was really unhappy with the course, with the training. She was not satisfied with what she got, For me, it was so beautiful because, like, speaking of the cultural, right, experience, it was not just like me going there and like meeting Indians, but it was me meeting like other students. They were mostly from Canada and Australia, actually. It was really interesting. I would, suspect that there were a lot of people from Asia because, like,
Sure.
geographically, but a lot of people from Canada and Australia, and some from the US. And they were all kind of different ages. And what's common was between all these people that they were all in their transitional stages in their lives. Like someone got a divorce.
Sure.
Someone got fired. Someone got was looking for a new career or whatever. I finished my undergrad, and I was like, okay, what's next?
Right.
So,
So a lot of people in transition.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was maybe my first experience, like, becoming friends with, like, older people. I guess people who are older than myself for, like, 10, 20 years. It was really beautiful, because in Asia, in Kyrgyzstan, even in China, like, it's not so normal. It's not so usual for younger people to have, like, older people friends, because there's a age gap and people act accordingly, like, oh, you're too young,
More
you're
structured.
exactly like this, or you have to respect me, you don't come on my level. So in India, it was so much fun. Yeah, I connected to, like, women, friends, like 10 years old or 20 years old. It was so beautiful, and you were, like, all on the same kind of level, and age didn't matter, or it just was so beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
No wonder you didn't want to leave.
Huh?
I said,
Yeah.
no wonder you didn't want to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends who still live there.
Really?
Yeah, India could be another destination, for someone who wants to move to a new place.
Yeah.
Easily, because my friend, she had a very interesting story. She had everything good in her career, everything good with her love life, but then suddenly everything fell apart. Her fiance, they canceled their plans, and suddenly she had an eye problem. She could not work with computers anymore, and that means she has to quit her job. and what she can do next. It's like the whole life that she was building collapsed in one day. Like, it's crazy. And then this girl, she stayed in India, and she lived in Saint Petersburg in Russia, and she was renting out her apartment, and that money was so plenty in India, you know, plenty of money. She would go travel. She's still there.
You're still in contact with her?
Yeah. I saw her traveling all around Asia, you know, like, I guess the money that she was getting from the rent was enough for her to live this life.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Isn't that funny? Well, I would say, you know, God closes one door and opens another. So obviously that was a door to her future that was waiting for her.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. It's amazing. A lot of beautiful stories. A lot of
very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So then you went to the United States. Is that correct?
Correct.
Chronologically?
That happened from nowhere. It really happened nowhere. Chronologically, yes, it is correct. I mean, I went back home. I had to go back home first because after China, I went straight to India. I didn't go back home.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I had to go back home, and so
Now, I know you told me your parents are living in Turkey right now.
Yes.
But they were still...
everyone was still back
home.
in my country, yes, at home.
At that point.
At that point, right. So I went back home for, I guess, vacation, just in this period between me going back to China again, doing my master's and continuing to work. I worked in a non-profit organization. So that was pretty much my career path. Sounds really cool, very prestigious, very okay, I respect you, I admire you, you do a great job, but it was not something that I just felt like I was missing something. And I think India really showed it to me because there I was using my body for so much, and I increased my, flexibility, strength, and everything, and also the creative parts of myself start to wake up.
Well, it's that whole mind, body, spirit connection, right? That you focused on for 2 solid months.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was really shocking because you don't think these things are in you. You know somewhere deep inside, but because you get caught up in everyday life and just have to do, what society thinks is good for you, and especially in our countries, have to get a serious job and everything else. But after that experience, I'm like, okay, that was so mind-blowing. I exactly remember what was the point in India when, so there was one pose, I think it's called locust pose or something. So basically I was laying on my chest, and then my legs were by my face here. So I was basically, what is it?
Yeah, like a circle.
Like a circle, yeah, but my legs were above I could see my feet, here.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy shit, what is this, And that moment, it was just so incredible because I'm not a contortionist or anything, but it was literally a contortionist move, And I was like, wow, if I can do this, maybe there is more, I wanted to explore more of that, and I always loved music and dance and everything, and I wanted to explore this creative side of myself. So I went back home. I was going back to China, but then Richard, who I met in India, and also another friend who I know from my country, she's also a friend with Richard, my partner. They really wanted me to come to New York for summer, before I start my master's degree. And then I'm like, okay, but was really hard to get, I guess, a visa, whatever, or it just felt like, actually, no, I considered a tourist visa. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to try and apply for a school in New York, just playfully, you'll see, I don't have money. I don't have enough money for that, but let me just throw on.
Why not?
Yeah,
right?
why not? Just try it out. I'll throw energy there. I'll send an application. I have time. So I did it. And then suddenly, I'm getting the acceptance letter. So, what? I mean, it wouldn't be a master's degree right away. I would do a semester of the preparatory course.
Right.
English, that's what it's called, bridge program to the American education. So, and I'm like, oh my God, and I was really shocked. because this is the place where I wanted to be in the first place, kind of, but I was like, oh, this is too unreal, so I'm not going to think about it. So years later, this happens, and I'm like, wow, and I went to New York, September 1st. Yeah, and then starts another story. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. I basically abandoned my China plans for New York, which I don't regret.
And so, and you attribute that to the experience in India and kind of the growth that you experienced during that time? You think that was the driving force?
Yeah, I think it was the initiator. I don't think there was something that was really driving. I was not really working hard towards getting into America. I was just like, oh, let me try, let me apply, let me prepare all the documents. And you had to prepare a bunch to get, to get a visa, because they're so strict especially with people of my age. So I'm like, let me prepare everything, get interview, and then the consulate, right? The guy at the embassy was so cool. He was really even joking with me, He was like, so where are you going? I'm like, New York City. Like, where are you going to live? Like, Manhattan. He was like, oh, look at you. He was joking with me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is good. So yeah, that's how I got. India, maybe it was initiator. I don't know. It's just happened naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was quite painful to go, to abandon my China plans a little bit, but it's another story.
But was that a decision you made with your head or your heart?
My heart.
Okay.
My heart. It was definitely my heart, because logically, it was not too rational for me to go, because I have already built a very strong foundation in China, and and everything, even master's degree was going to be free for me as well. So it's economically, all the reasons, it was just not rational for me to go there. But my heart really wanted to go, and I'm like, I'm getting the visa, this is probably the sign, so I have to go. So I went. I my parents, I think they didn't have a choice, they just have to agree with every choice I made. Even India, they were so scared.
But they're pretty supportive of you making your own decisions, or?
They were they would fight, but I would fight back, and eventually they give up, and then and now they're so chill and calm. Okay, you do whatever you want. We trust you. Yeah.
You trained them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your parents have to be trained. They have to be trained, because everyone in your family, actually, because the family, it's a big force that,
Well, typically in Asian families in particular, all right? I mean...
Yeah, Asian, Eastern European. Yeah, I think it's everywhere, but Europe, maybe United States, not so much, right? In our countries, it matters so much. Who are your parents? What family you're coming from? So this is the other reason I wanted to leave my country, because they can't look at you as you as an individual. They will attach other things like, oh, whose daughter are you? Whose son are you? Things like this. It's just impossible, And if you're a kid of someone important, you have to watch every step you make. You cannot do anything stupid. Or the opposite, if you're a son of no one, then it's okay,
you're not worth anything.
Exactly. Yeah, there are little things. I mean, it's very stereotypically speaking, but it's kind of general experience. Yeah, you have to, I guess, be stronger in my country. Of course, when you live there, you don't notice things. You have to go live somewhere and then see from the side. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah, you don't have a reference point,
exactly.
Right? It's just normal
exactly.
When you're growing up in it, and it's not until you leave
exactly.
that you can see these things. Yeah, which is one of the reasons that I think it's really important to travel
right.
and to go to other cultures and have these experiences, because it helps you define yourself. Right?
Sure, 100%.
As much as what you learn from the outside. So tell me what happened in New York. I'm dying to hear this.
Oh my God, New York was a mess. New York was really a mess. The first 2 years were really a mess, because it's me going back from China, having all that experience, starting all over again. It was no. it was amazing, all those buildings. I'm like, wow, this is cool. But then...
And it's crowded, but probably not Beijing crowded.
Yeah, after Beijing, I'm like, I had it already built in me, like, I was... No, New York is not crowded at all, compared to Beijing, it doesn't feel that same way. It was just a lot of, disorientation, finding myself again. It's like coming to a new place, coming to new dreams, I guess, like totally making it's not even a U-turn, it's like zigzag, whatever, It was beautiful, but it was hard. Like, I can tell it was really hard because it means you had to start all over again. It's like, I didn't pursue what I was pursuing back in China, that's why it was hard. And my parents, so I went to the program, right? The bridge program. I did it, I finished it, and then after that I was supposed to either start my degree in, so you can choose either like business course or what is humanities, right? Mm-hmm. What's the opposite of economics? Humanities, I guess, whatever.
Sure.
So... And I just, at that point, I didn't feel like I want to do it. And it was so much money. If it was free, I had scholarships, yeah, sure, I will do it. But there's money, very high stakes, It's like, do I really love it? Do I want to do this? Does it worth it, So I just switched to another school, I was like, so it's kind of a game in New York, If you go there, you want to stay there longer, you go and be a student for some time. So I switched to a dance school.
Ah.
Yeah, I switched to a dance school where they would mostly offer ballet.
Okay.
So I had to become an adult ballet dancer.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It was so funny. Oh my god. It was so funny because, luckily they were all adults in the class.
Well, you're a tall girl. How tall are you? You're
I'm 5'11".
5'11". Now, but aren't ballerinas little teeny tiny
teeny
girls?
tiny, yeah. Not in that school. No. In that school, they had all sizes, they had all ages, and mainly, most of these people, maybe half of these people were there, not because of love for ballet, but maybe because love for the New York City, and they wanted to stay there.
To keep their visa.
Exactly.
That's funny.
There should be a whole TV series about this. It's
right.
Yeah, because it's so much fun. They were I don't know, you could even see a woman 40 years old, all kind of ages, and they just do something else and on the side, and they come to class, they put check mark, okay, I came to class. They do very lazy tandus, So it was Halloween kind of movements, So it was hilarious. So I was there in that school for quite some time, almost a year and a half, I think.
Okay.
A year and a half. And at the same time, I was helping Richard with his marketing company. I would do photography for him. I would do social media posts for him. Do something on the side that I guess looks serious.
Right.
But then then in that school, after some time, I started to love ballet. Okay, I kind of like it. Apart from that, they had other classes, but the level was not so. I guess it was mainly ballet focused school. So, and the owners of the school was the most beautiful people, spouses. They were so kind and friendly. They would always have candies, tea, coffee for every visitor.
Oh, nice.
So it was really beautiful, yeah. And then it felt like a family, But after that, I switched to another place where I thought I can have more growth as a mover, as a movement practitioner. They had the yoga training. I did a little bit of ballet as an adult. So I went to another school that also offered the student visa. And then there, I think I had my artist developed because I met people who represent cultures within cultures. So New York, when you come to America, when you come to New York City, it's cultures within cultures,
Mm-hmm.
You meet people from gay community, from street dance community, from a club dance community from all kind of, and each community has its history, and it's so beautiful. And then you actually realize that, like, going to a country, going to a place is not just that, but it's also like there's so many little tiny, communities and cultures that you can.
Lots of subcultures.
Subcultures. That's the word. Yes, yes. So there, I was just amazed, and I loved music and all the music videos that I used to watch as a kid, all the dances, and I'm like, wow, I actually learned from someone who's been in this music video, who's that, or who lived, this life, or who danced with Michael Jackson, or who danced with Beyonce, and it's like, wow, this is mind-blowing. You never think of it,
Right.
It's something that I probably dreamed of on a very deep level, subconscious as a kid.
Right.
But you don't even fathom it because it's so unreal.
Yeah.
It's like, but you dream of it, it's like, and then you see it in real life. I was like, what? And to be part of these communities, it's even more, after like a year or something, I started to make friends with teachers, with like other dancers, and I'm like, okay, I'm actually getting on professional level. So that was a big change from what I was doing in China, but it just made me so much like a happier and fuller person, and even if I want to go back to like diplomatics or international affairs, it can be still within the cultures, these dance cultures, because honestly, it's, I think, all about culture,
Yeah.
like everything. If you try to make business or anything, I think what sells, it's the truth, so I'm really happy to be part of it. And now I'm at the place where I'm like, okay, this is good, and I don't feel like down anymore as I used to in my first 2 years in New York City, because I was lost. Like, that school helped me to really find it. And then the rest is history.
So, so you've done some modeling too, I understand.
Correct. Yes.
How did that come about?
So I'm tall.
You're
so
tall,
I had
right?
To put it in,
That helps.
had to put it into use. I also playfully just created a account, on some modeling website. Model making is a very trashy one, but nevertheless, it gave. I met some good photographers who I started to build my portfolio, and then later on booked jobs. So that was also from nowhere, I guess. I did some modeling back home. I tried to do like modeling shows. It was not treated seriously. In Beijing, I did some modeling as well because there were opportunities. I was like, why not? So in New York City, it actually kind of picked up. I was like, wow, this is so interesting, And I'm like older, When I was young, I really wanted to be. But when I'm older, I'm like, okay, opportunities come, I will take them,
Right.
Yeah. So I did some modeling as well. Yeah, that's another community.
Right. But still very artistic, right?
Still very artistic, yes. It's also another way to express yourself creatively. Yeah. I enjoy it. I love it. It's fashion, beauty. It's all like in New York City. Come
right.
on,
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah,
you're right there.
Right.
For sure. So I know we've talked a little bit over dinner or whatever, but what do you see on the horizon for sort of your next adventure? This has been interesting. I know Richard and his son and you have been here now for a month, and we use the word beta test, right? When you move somewhere to try it out for a while, try a different lifestyle, and you've done several now. But how has this sort of month-long experience in paradise changed your perception at all about what you might like to experience in the future?
Yeah. I've actually thought about like having this kind of lifestyle, island lifestyle, for some time as well. Like what they call being a snowbird, right? But
because the winter's in New York.
Exactly, yeah. Winter is in New York. I love New York City, but it's good to get away. It's amazing, but it just has a power to suck you in, and you forget about the rest of the world. What happens because like New York City, it's like another planet. Like it takes you. And you can feel very, suffocated sometimes in there, because of, especially if you live in a city. Where we live now, close to Central Park, is beautiful, so it's a big change. But before, it felt pretty, could press you, So I would, in the future, I definitely see this, like going somewhere, traveling more. But I would love to stay in New York as my base. I think I found my place, I found my communities, and I want to continue to grow and see what's gonna go from there and make money in New York City, and then go travel other places, because the money you make in New York City, it's gonna be good money overseas,
Right.
So that I experienced this when I went to Turkey to see my parents. I'm like, I brought, the money that I saved, I was like, wow, it's actually, I can live a life here.
It goes far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it goes far. You can experience luxury, with the local prices. And coming to Mexico was the same experience. I was like, wow, it's actually, we probably spend less money than we would live and stay in New York City right now, So in these hard times, it's probably a good idea to have a place like this. But in the future, how it's doable, I don't know. I need to figure it out. This was experience for me that I'm like, okay, it's possible to do this. And how do you do it? And it's a big step already to see and kind of experience, so that you can be one step closer. Yeah, but I would definitely like to have a home apart from New York City, or nearby, so that I can just go away, bye, hi, bye.
Yeah, be able to take a break for a little while, have different experiences. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate it.
This episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast was brought to you by our sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. Did you love this episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast? Then please subscribe to our show and leave us a nice review. It's very much appreciated. We invite you to visit www.overseasliferedesign.com and take the Are You Ready for an Overseas Life Relocation Readiness Quiz. We'd also love for you to become part of our OLR community on Facebook. Thank you for listening.